trees and water and so on, and birds and animals and people. Well, Bird Island happens to be a very small rock. Bird Island is approximately 50 meters across. 50 meters across, okay? That is very, that's the average width of a small house. 50 meters across. It is about, for those of us that are more familiar with feet, 160 feet. That is the width of Bird Island. And it is just 1,230 feet long, 375 meters. It's not even the full distance around an athletic track, which is roughly 400 meters. So this is really not an island. This is really a rock. And I say it's a rock, and that's an important distinction to make, and you'll see why that distinction is important. Now, why is Bird Island, or Bird Rock, which is 340 miles away from Venezuela, why is that owned by Venezuela? Or why is there a claim by Venezuela? Now, Venezuela has what we call a historic title to the island, in that in 1865, Queen Isabella II of Spain was called to rule on this, because at the time the fishermen from Aruba and Saba, these Dutch islands there in the northern Caribbean, they were using the waters around quite a lot around Bird Island, because it is very rich in fish life and so on. And in just a few years before, they had discovered fertilizer called guano. Because of the birds that nested on the island, it had huge deposits of guano. And the fishermen of the Netherlands, who really belonged, or who were on Curacao, who were making use of the land there, of the sea around, they wanted some, because there was some interference from Venezuela, so they said, well, let's get somebody to kind of arbitrate or to rule on this. So Queen Isabella, the 35-year-old monarch who was the child queen of Spain, she actually gave the island, or the rock at this time, gave it to Venezuela. Historians would later say that in all probability, Bird Rock, that there was an error made, that the real island was really, there's another Bird Island which is closer to Venezuela, and that was the one that was intended. But whatever happened, it is the case that Bird Rock was ceded to Venezuela in 1865. So Venezuela has, if you like, a historic title to Bird Island. But here's where it gets interesting. In 1982, the United Nations passed the Convention on the Law of the Sea. The United Nations adopted the Convention on the Law of the Sea, and Dominica is a member, a UN member, as well as Venezuela. Interestingly enough, under this convention, the United Nations defined what an island was. And for you to be an island, you have to be able to sustain animal and human life on the island. And the definition given by the UN does not fit Bird Island, not in terms of size, neither in terms of what the island was used for. But more importantly, this Convention on the Law of the Sea, under Article 57, established that all sovereign nation states, they have what is referred to as an exclusive economic zone, an EEZ, exclusive economic zone. And this gives the states the rights to explore, exploit, conserve, and manage their natural resources. Okay, I'll say that again. Under the EEZ, states have sovereign rights to explore, exploit, conserve, and manage their natural resources. That was Article 57. Now, what this means, in effect, the economic or the exclusive economic zone, extends up to 200 miles from the country. So it's 200 miles of sea, basically. And it defines a country's territory as basically 12 miles out. You have 12 miles. So 12 miles around Dominica is considered to be like the physical country of Dominica. But beyond those 12 miles, you have 200 miles of exclusive economic zone. This 200 miles means that Bird Rock falls precisely within Dominica's EEZ, or Dominica's exclusive economic zone. So Dominica has a sovereign stake or sovereign right to any resource that is found within this area. It has a sovereign right. Not only does it have a right, but it has a right to explore that resource, to exploit it, and to conserve and manage that resource to the benefit of its people. So that is point number one, and that is important. So Venezuela has a historic title to Bird Island. Dominica has a sovereign right to the resources around Bird Island. And herein we have a dispute that needs to be mediated upon. And with this little opener, I'm joined by Mr. Gildon Riches, who has a very keen interest. Gildon is a local lawyer here in Dominica, one of the better lawyers, I should say, on island. And it's great to have you, Gildon. And Mr. Riches is there to help me kind of go through this with you, because he has a very keen interest and has been, like me, researching Bird Island. I mean, I've been on this issue for several years now, since 2002. I wrote my first article on this Bird Island in 2002, and since then a lot has happened. I've given you a little sense as to where we are. As we go through, we will talk more about what has happened since and what has brought us to this position. But before I say good morning to Mr. Gildon Richards, let me just add that why this is so important. This is of critical importance to Dominica for several reasons. Because there is a dispute that is still unresolved between Venezuela, we need to get a resolution to this issue. But why is that so important? This is critically important because under the UN Charter 2, a country, all independent countries, have a right to self-determination. And what this does, in fact, is that it obligates states to take action in the best interests of the citizens. So the government of Dominica has an obligation as a member of the United Nations, as a member of the world community, to take every action that's in the best interest of its citizens. An action where there's a dispute that involves determination that needs to be made about Bird Island or Bird Rock, and the fact that they are now telling us that 20%, about 1/5 of all the natural gas reserves in the world, they are sitting around the island or the rock, this little 50 by 1,000 foot rock. And so this has the potential to change significantly the economic landscape in Dominica. It can also do the same for Venezuela, and therefore we need to be talking about this. Mr. Gildon Riches, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Fountain, and I thank you for having me here this morning to at least express some views on the issue of the legal status of Bird Island as far as it relates to Venezuela and Dominica. I say good morning to everybody who is listening to us this morning. I hope what we will try to elucidate here will be of some educational value and guidance to persons who are interested.
Yes, indeed. And Gildon, I kind of outlined a little bit the UN Charter, the Convention on the Law of the Sea, which actually came about in the 1980s, but in 1982 to be exact, but which kind of defined what an island was. Can you just tell us with some more specificity what exactly it entails?
As far as Dominica is concerned, you rightly put it that our territorial sea extends 12 miles beyond the land surface that we can see.
So we have 12 miles of sea, basically, of marine space. 12 miles, yeah.
That is Dominica, sovereign Dominica. Beyond that, our territorial sea, contiguous zone, exclusive economic zone act tells us what are our other rights and powers in relation to the sea. As far as our exclusive economic zone is concerned, section 5 of that act, okay, tells us clearly that our exclusive economic zone extends 200 nautical miles westwards of Dominica. In that context, Bird Island becomes critically important because according to the status of Bird Island, the 200 mile economic zone, exclusive economic zone, will be limited to our detriment. One has to see, what is Bird Island? Is it a colony? It can't be a colony. It is not inhabited. Is it a rock? If it's a rock,
it is a rock.
If it's a rock, then one must be saying it is not a dependent of Venezuela, but it is Venezuela, because Venezuela is claiming it.
Yes.
Bird Island is 340 miles away from the mainland of Venezuela. Bird Island is 140 miles away from Dominica westwards. It means Bird Island falls within our exclusive economic zone, and we still have 60 or so more miles beyond it westwards to go. Venezuela exclusive economic zone does not extend to Bird Island. It falls short by 140 miles.
That's correct.
It therefore means that if we say Bird Island is Venezuela, Venezuela now has extended not only its territorial rights to Bird Island, but so far north beyond Bird Island, if you can get 200 nautical miles.
That would include practically all of the Caribbean islands.
All of, especially the OECS.
The OECS, yes. Antigua.
All of the OECS.
And down to Grenada, yes.
No. So Venezuela will be taking for itself a large section of the sea in the Eastern Caribbean as its own, to the detriment of the smaller developing states of this region. I have heard oral pronouncements. I have no interest in Bird Island. Oral pronouncements do not change law. It is a law of Dominica that our exclusive economic zone extends 200 miles west, and whoever claims to be an upholder of the law must seek to ensure that it is upheld.
Absolutely, and that's why I brought up the issue of self-determination, which obligates governments of states to take action in the best interest of the citizens. So, as we said, the law is that we have 200 miles. It is the duty of whichever government is in office to uphold that law and to pursue the interests of the citizens of the country.
Exactly, because if Bird Island belongs to Venezuela, it means our fishing zone, which is also 200 miles west, nautical miles west, will be limited, because the distance between Bird Island and Dominica now will have to be cut in half. So our exclusive economic zone will be just 70 miles, because if Venezuela is there, which is Bird Island, then the distance between Venezuela and Dominica, half of that will be our exclusive economic zone.
Yes.
Who would want willingly, without a test at law, to give up?
Yeah. And
130 miles
of their territories. Yes, and not only that, you see, but the fact of the matter is the UN has a keen interest in this. And I was reading some documents online last night where actually saw a legal opinion that stated clearly that Dominica's sovereign claim is more powerful, is stronger than the legal claim, the legal title claim that Venezuela is hold, for the very simple reason that is not an island as far as the UN is concerned.
Exactly.
It's a rock.
Exactly.
Okay, I mean, think about 1,000 meters by 50 meters.
Exactly. What
you know,
makes an
which is
island?
somewhat. And interestingly enough, when I did my first article in 2002 on this, it was twice the size. You know.
Yes.
It is shrinking.
It's diminishing.
It's diminishing. Now, interestingly enough, Venezuela in 2004 thereabouts, they came up with a solution, not unlike what China did in the South China Sea, to actually preserve the island, to prevent it from being eroded, because it is submerged sometimes and it could very well disappear. Now, if that disappears, their claim disappears because there is no rock to hold on
and
to.
there is nothing above ground.
And there is nothing above ground that they can claim. So that would revert automatically to Dominica. So they've come up with some plan to actually keep it, to keep the land, which would involve an artificial island. Which interestingly brings us to what happened with China. You realize that there was a ruling recently where China was trying to build up these artificial islands in the South China Sea, and the UN says no. The court ruled against that.
Spoken very clearly
so,
on that.
But Gildan, the question I want to ask, and people have been trying to reach us, let me just take a few moments and then before we go to the callers. The fact that I want to raise is that there was all of this activity in 2003, 2004. The OECS was prepared. The heads of state, they were making pronouncements and so on about it. All of a sudden, Prime Minister Roosevelt goes to Venezuela in June of 2006, and then silence. Even Ralph Gonzalez Baxov, who had just claimed the year before that Bird Island was Dominica, that is a part of Dominica, suddenly was backing up from his statements. The Prime Minister of Dominica was completely silent. Charles Savarin, who had spoken so eloquently about negotiating with Venezuela, went silent. What do you think happened in Venezuela that caused the Prime Minister of Dominica to go quiet and to keep silent on such a critical issue that could impact the lives of every single Dominican?
I don't know exactly what happened, but what I said before, I repeat. Whether it's the head of state, whether it's the head of government, whether it's any other top official in government, they cannot change the law by oral statements. There's a process by which law is changed in Dominica. Whoever wishes to change the law and to limit Dominica's right to the resources on and around Bird Island must make their position clearly known in law, because that is the only effective change that can come about. Put the issue up, but I would urge that be not done unless there is popular public discussion and a referendum on this issue. It is critically important for the people of Dominica, because it's not the government's Bird Island. No, it is Dominica's.
Dominica's, yeah.
And Dominica is the people of Dominica and all the territory around Dominica. And therefore, no one should take lightly the limitation of Dominica's economic right in the sea by mere oral pronouncement. It cannot happen.
It cannot happen. Now, some people point to this, Gildan, to the fact that in 1983, just about a year after the formation of the UN Charter on the Law of the Sea, Dominica signed an agreement with France. Prime Minister Mary Eugenie Charles signed an agreement with the French government concerning our territorial boundaries.
In relation to Martinique.
In relation to Martinique and Guadeloupe. At the time, they said we had our 200 miles going out into the Atlantic, which I don't think has oil. Yes. But she limited going to the Caribbean Sea, limited, because France at the time agreed that Venezuela had claim to Bird Rock and limited our access to 60 miles westward.
France's agreement is to limit Martinique's and Guadeloupe's exclusive economic zone. France could not have negotiated and could not have bound us by that agreement.
By that agreement. That's what I thought, yes.
Never.
Yes.
If you are opting out not to want to claim your right in relation to your economic zone, that's your business. But let's look at the historic right of Venezuela and who was the arbiter in that, in the dispute. Okay? It was Queen Isabella.
Yeah.
Fountain, would you be chosen as a judge in a case involving your child.
Right.
And not rule for your child.
Yeah, exactly.
Would you?
Exactly.
So the process by which that agreement was reached has to be revisited. If the Dutch decided, well, St. Eustatius and Sabre, although we try to fight, but we agree, it does not limit Dominica's right. The question is, what is Bird Island?
Yes.
Is it an island inhabited by people so it becomes a colony of Venezuela, or is it a rock that extends Venezuela to just 114 miles west of Dominica? And unless we arrive at the critical point. But before I yield here, I must draw the attention of the people of Dominica to what Venezuela is doing to a sovereign state in CARICOM, and CARICOM leaders are there watching Venezuela doing that. That is Guyana. Venezuela claims 40% of a sovereign state, a member state of CARICOM. And the CARICOM people, because they get a little pittance from Venezuela, will let Guyana languish in the dungeons of the threat posed by Venezuela to it and not speak openly against Venezuela. I think it is outrageous. I say the same thing because the OECS governments are part of CARICOM. And if the OECS governments, who are likely to benefit from a determination that Bird Island is not part of Venezuela, keep their mouth shut, something has to be wrong.
Yes, I kind of suspect they're keeping their mouth shut on the behest of this government. And we'll tell you why in a minute. Let's go to the telephone. So many of you have been trying to reach us. Good morning. Welcome to the hot seat. Yes, good morning. Welcome to the hot seat. Go ahead, please. Okay, let's try this. Yes, good morning. Welcome to the hot seat. Hello, good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the hot seat. Yes, good morning. Welcome to the hot seat.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Dr. Fong.
Yes, good morning. I was a bit worried for a while. I could not hear anything.
And good morning to you again.
Yes, good morning.
Dr. Fong, can you mention about a hurricane where gold bullions were brought from some other country, and then the boat capsized and the people were killed, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, suppose these gold bullions were deposited around Bird Island. And then they did some research and they found it. Who would this gold bullion belong to? Would it be Dominica or Venezuela? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll respond to that, but let us take this other call and then we'll respond to this caller. Good morning. Welcome to the hot seat.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning.
Good topic. Thanks to the learned attorney and you, the doctor. You said that you've written about this issue since 2000 or 2002.
That's correct, yes.
But I have been studying this since 1984.
Excellent. So you can give us the wisdom of your experience on this.
And that is just before the period when Dominica acceded to the UN Convention of the Law of the Sea.
Right. When did Dominica sign on to this? Was it at the same year it came into effect?
Dominica signed on in 1987.
87. Okay, so that explains. Okay.
Now, I have been chastised, threatened, and done a lot of things from my position on that. But the issue here is that what you mentioned earlier on, we don't have enough time to discuss that, but I would like to be part of a team next time. But the mere fact you mentioned that France signed an agreement with Dominica. That was Dominica's downfall. Number one, Dominica having agreed to sign a delimitation boundary, that is the word, a delimitation boundary with France was the biggest error Dominica ever made.
Yes, but it was signed with France, not with Venezuela.
No, but that, if you go back into the books, France does not recognize, all right, Dominica's claim beyond the area, which is about 60 miles west of Dominica, where it signed the delimitation boundary.
Yes, but caller, that agreement was signed in 1983. We had not yet signed on to the law of the sea.
Yes,
so wouldn't that?
Yes, but what happened is that France, you see, the issue of Bird Island, I don't even know where to start. You see, France had its reason for encouraging Dominica into this thing, because there are other islands in the Pacific close to Tahiti and Fiji where French have interest, and that they want to use the same concept of a rock, all right, if they can legitimize it around here. They want to use the same idea of a rock, and even the U.S. with Guam and all these other places where volcanoes erupt out of the Pacific within their territories, and then they can state that the extension of the exclusive economic zone starts from there and further out. Okay, so I don't have time, but I don't want to take your time. I would like to be part of your panel next time.
Yes, but can I have your name, please?
Yes, I'll give you my name. But one part of the issue here is that, and which you all started, and the attorney started to allude to that earlier on, is that the issue of Bird Island does not only concern Dominica.
That's right.
And Dominica cannot go ahead with Bird Island by itself, because the extension of the space from Los Tortugas, which is a little island north of Venezuela, all right, using the same principle and spreading it into the exclusive economic zone of Bird Island gives Venezuela uninterrupted marine space with proven valuable petroleum hydrocarbon deposits, among others, and natural gases. It gives them a right for unimpeded access from Venezuela's coastline right up to past Antigua. And that is something I raised in 1986 with the authorities. All right, I have had reasons to sit in international fora to discuss these issues, and because of that, the Dominica's claim to Bird Rock, and I'm happy that you started making the reference to the structure as a rock, and that is what we should be doing. And we've been telling the government of Dominica that the issue should be a rock. Never use the word island.
Island, right?
Because an island is one that sustains life. And under the UN agreement and under international law, if you can't give birth to a human being on any structure, it cannot be called an island. It has to be called a rock. The point here is this: Dominica and the Eastern Caribbean had been pursuing this issue, but ALBA or the donations from Venezuela got into the way, and that quieted the various countries.
But caller, I don't mean to interrupt you disrespectfully, but that's the very reason we as a people should be calling for a view of the ALBA agreement to determine whether, contrary to our law, a bilateral agreement between Venezuela and Dominica has either repealed part of our local law or caused it to be in abeyance.
Well, yeah, but I don't want. Okay, I must say, and I must confess, I'm not a scholar on the ALBA issue.
No, I'm not saying that you are. I am saying what you have just said gives us justification to request a thorough viewing of the ALBA agreement to determine the extent to which our rights are impeded by it as a party to it.
Taken, sir. I accept that. Yeah. But as I've said, I am a maritime scholar.
Well, that is good, and that is why, sir, you should join us and continue in this discussion, because you have information that all Dominicans need. We have been asleep on this issue too long, and it's nice to find people like you with interest like us who would want to pursue this issue a little further so that we can get clarity and finality on it.
Yes, but good, thank you. Thank you. I'm prepared to do that because it's education. The process is education. All right? But there are a series of things I would like to, by the little time you have there with me, to point out. And there's more I would like to talk about. But so one of the things that happens is that if the whole OECS, which the claim of Venezuela affects, it should be a multifaceted approach to dealing with Venezuela. That is one. But because Bird Rock is the closest to us, all right, I remembered bringing it onto the very first administration that got themselves entangled in that mess, to tell them that Bird Island was sold for $250 million. That is, if you go back into the books, you will get that. Leave that behind. Secondly, I have made, and I would like you to reference the Pedro Keys, which is a set of islands in the waters of Honduras. And the Pedro Keys these are the islands where Jamaica today harvests all of its conch. They have a queen conch, all right, Labi.
Yeah.
That is, they are one of the biggest exporters of this product. And all of it is harvested from the Pedro Keys. And you know what? The word they use is that they said that this is their patrimony. Their culture is married today, long in his prehistoric days, going over to that island and harvesting the conch. So when the law of the sea came, and Honduras decided that because of the configuration of its continental shelf, that this would fall within its boundaries, Jamaica, which is the seat of the Seabed Authority, Jamaica took them to court, and Jamaica won. And today, Jamaicans are still harvesting that. Now, I'm saying this, bear with me, just to show one thing, that when the new market, which was only built somewhere in 1963,
yes,
all right, when the new market was built in Dominica, it showed that Dominica's patrimony to Bird Island was inherent in the culture of Dominica. Because if you realize, between the vegetable market and the dry goods market in the new market, there was a well, a hole, a tudlu, all right, which was made there up to that time. Why? Because it was always meant for people to keep on going to the rock, pick up turtles, and come back and drop it there overnight so that they could put it out on for sale. Now, these are some of these little things that I remember.
On this point, sir, I would like to add, I grew up in my village of Wesley, where I knew a man called Mr. Sales Benjamin, used to purchase turtles, from time 5, 6, 7 of them lying on their backs, all of which came from Bird Island.
Good.
And you'd kill them in the village.
Very good. Now, just to add, now that is where even the actions of the government of the time on the decks here to break down that hole, to break down that back or that place to hold the turtles, to show that this is evidence we have to use in our argument that our culture is married to Bird Island more than Venezuela. They went and they destroyed it. I fought against it. All right? And the persons who destroyed this structure was built by the famous E.O. Libler, my personal friend.
Yes.
All right? And to break it down, they have to carry the guilt of the sins that took away part of our culture that we could have used to show, just like the Jamaicans are using in the Pedro Keys. And if you look at the Pedro Keys is much further outside of Dominica. It's outside of Jamaica's exclusive economic zone, but it is in Honduras' zone, and they do that. But I will let somebody else talk.
Yes,
please.
I hope I will get another chance to come and talk.
Caller, I need to know your contact, your name, and your contact.
His name or his telephone number. So you can, if you don't want to give it on air, yeah, we can contact you later.
Yeah. Okay, I will get back to you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Right.
Appreciate it. Okay, let's. This is of critical importance. Let's take this other caller and then we'll take a break. Good morning. Welcome to the hot seat. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the hot seat. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the hot seat.
Hello, good morning, gentlemen.
Yes, good morning.
Such a very important program. I remember a couple of years ago, the former Senator Griffin Sentile did a lot of work on Bird Island.
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. I saw his document.
This is an intellectual in that regard. But you asked a question. What happened after Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit made a trip to Venezuela? Ivo Nassif told us something in Casibus, that Hugo Chavez loved Skerrit and he gives him plenty money. The question is, did he sold out the sovereignty of the country for plenty money? That's it, gentlemen.
Okay, thank you very much, caller. And these are the questions that needs to be addressed. We need to ask the question, why is government so silent? Why are they not pursuing the claim? This is a sovereign claim that we have that contradicts the claim that Venezuela have to the historical title. Why? There's a dispute. And why is it not being pursued with the kind of vigor, especially considering that this has so much implications for Dominica? This could, Gildan, transform this island of Dominica if we have access to all of those reserves of natural oil and gas.
That's true. And the issue of the sovereignty of Dominica over the exclusive economic zone is well put at Section 8 of the Territorial Sea Contiguous Zone Exclusive Economic Zone Act and Fisheries Zone Act, sorry. May I just read a little bit of it? In the exclusive economic zone, Dominica shall exercise sovereign rights for the purpose of exploration, exploitation, conservation, and management of the natural resources, both living and non-living, of the seabed, subsoil, and subjacent waters, and other sovereign rights with regard to producing energy from tides, winds, and currents. Now, there is obviously another source: gas, natural gas.
Natural gas in abundance.
Natural gas
in abundance.
The question arises,
yes,
Thompson, whether we are purchasing from Venezuela
what belongs to us.
What belongs to us?
Very good question. We'll be right back.
This is an important message from the Health Promotion Unit, Ministry of Health.
Drug and supplement list. In a disaster, keep a list of your drugs and dietary supplements with you at all times. Keep your list in a safe place like your wallet or purse. Share a copy of your list with a trusted family member or friend. In an event of an emergency, that person will be able to tell healthcare providers about your medication and dietary supplements you use.
To learn more, call the Health Promotion Unit at 266-3469.
KC Fashions and Enterprise, located on 82A Kennedy Avenue, Roseau, Dominica, opposite the Financial Center, affording great brands like Lacoste, Adidas, Coach, Vans, and Levi's, with other attractive, seductive items from Victoria's Secret and Bath & Body Works. Call them at 265-1921 or email them at kncfashions@gmail.com. KC Fashions and Enterprise. Other great brands include Tom's, New Balance, Saucony, Polo, Reebok. Come on down and see what's in store. Prices lower than anywhere else, and that's a guarantee. Opening hours 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Mondays to Fridays.
Mommy, can I have a kiddie's tablet this summer, please?
Child, no. I have to worry about how I'm going to pay for your school items and my education so that we can have a good life.
Don't worry, the National Cooperative Credit Union offers a learn while you earn loan on very special terms. You can work and further your education. Let NCCU finance your education. Affordable monthly payments, no fees, and free loan protection coverage. We also provide loans to study overseas and to cover school expenses so your kids can be ready for September.
Mommy, can I please get the tablets?
Paracetamol.
Mia.
Just kidding. Okay.
Apply at any NCCU branch today for your Learn While You Earn loan. Call 255-2172 or visit our website at www.nccudominica.com.
Tired and need a break? Going Places Travel is offering you a chance to win a 7-day Carnival cruise. Check out our new website where you can book flights, hotels, cruises, and enter our great summer cruise giveaway. Visit goingplacestravel.com before August 31st for more details.
Going Places Travel, we've got the best deals for you. You're going places, then we'll make your dreams come true.
Together, we are going places.
Hi, this is Gordon Henderson of the group Exile One. Exile One is heading to the USA. The trio, Vivian, Fitzroy, and Gordon, will be joined by old pals, Sty, Frankie, and new faces on Saturday, September 24 at the Dominica Cultural Awards Gala in Montclair, New Jersey. Get your tickets today. Email at nexus1@gmail.com. That's ADNEXUS1@gmail.com. Exile One.
Some people have to wait a whole year to go and enjoy Creole Festival or save a party l'argent to go on a cruise ship festival. Merci bon Dieu pour Shillingford, and all over Dominica, everybody is enjoying their festival. And you don't need a season ticket, because when you take home festival disinfectant, cleanser, and deodorizer to freshen up your floors and countertops and disinfect your tables where you're eating and sharing your good food, your kitchen sinks, your living room, your bathroom, your home will smell like, and all germs and bacteria will just dead on arrival. From tomorrow, buy at least 2 or more bottles of festival disinfectant in over 6 fragrances from Shillingford, like Caribbean Breeze, Baby Essence, Fruit Essence. Child, when you hear festival disinfectant, just make your home smell clean and smell fresh and smell brand new. Everybody should have their own festival. Have your own festival in your home. Festival deodorizing disinfectant you can afford. From Shillingford, 7-Eleven, and from wholesalers and retailers island-wide. No, have your festival.
Yes, welcome back. It is just about 5 past the hour of 9 o'clock, and we are discussing the all-important issue of Bird Island. Let's go to the telephones. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Yes, good morning, sir.
It's an important subject, and I'm happy about it. Hello?
Yes, go ahead, please. Yes.
Yes, I could recall as a young boy, maybe about 11 years old, there was a by the name of Princess Marina, owned by a gentleman, Mrs. Robert Douglas, RBD Douglas. That boat would leave Portsmouth Shore for jetty and travel to Bird Island. And by maybe not a couple of hours, but let us say by 9 o'clock, so in the night, that boat will be back with great jubilant. People happy to see the kind of turtle that he was bringing back from Bird Island. This is Rosie Douglas took that issue and campaigned around Dominica, talking about Bird Island is belonging to Dominica. And he went to the length and breadth of the country talking about Bird Island. After his death, we heard nothing. What we know, that we are friends to Venezuela, and Bird Island is not belonging to Dominica. As a little boy, young boy, you could see the boat traveling straight out of the port of Portsmouth, the harbour of Portsmouth. Straight. And we will sit down on the bayside to skate with great expectation they're coming back with turtles. I do not know what happened or what agreement Dominica and Venezuela have over Bird Island. And it's become a dead subject. That is what I have to say. I have more to say, but...
Yes, well, thank you very much, Colin, for this historical aspect there. This is very important as we continue to build a case. Yes, good morning. Welcome to the hot seat. Yes, good morning.
Good Island. And I'm trying to wonder, like, all of these groups, like, go to Kashmir, Pakistan, and the fight of Kashmir, of this, and
Hello, caller. I'm not sure. But we are not able to hear you at all in the studio. You're very, very weak, and I suspect if we can't hear you, that our listeners also not unable to hear. So we are going to ask you if you can try your call again. Good morning. Welcome to the hot seat. Yes. Good morning. Hi, Pat. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm very happy that we are discussing that subject matter today, because this we know how important this is to Dominica. Like we agreed, 20% of the natural gas resources of the world is around this area. So we know what that could do for Dominica. Now, remember too that Rosie Douglas was very interested in that. And you just made a statement a little while ago, you or Gilden, that Mr. Nassif had said that Hugo Chavez likes Roosevelt Kerry, so he gives him money. I mean, man does give woman money, but why is man giving man money? So a lot of issues are coming back to light here. And I want us to not be the usual Dominicans to shoot to flam. We have to stick on that subject matter. We must talk about it even more than we're talking about electoral reform, and keep the fire burning on that, because this Bird Island issue can change Dominica.
Definitely.
Yes, indeed, caller. And
Definitely.
you have an advocate. You have a strong advocate here in myself, Mr. Richards, and others. And we're going to continue to pursue this. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Mr. Fontaine.
Yes, good morning.
Mr. Fontaine and the gentleman in the house, I am wishing you all the best of luck with this issue, because it has to be a sustained effort. It has to be a supported effort. As the other scholar mentioned, it has to be a CARICOM or OECS effort. And it is an insurmountable task, and it will have to go on for several years to see any success. That is how I see it, because Venezuela is definitely recognized as the owner of that rock internationally, and to overturn that will mean taking some kind of court action or representation to whoever the authority is of the sea or whatever, whoever decides on these boundaries. So this is going to be a long fight, and it has to be a well-sustained, well-planned out fight. And plus, we are in that same situation where the same situation that I just stated the other day, that voters are in. When voters in Wharton Waven accept plywood, 2x4, all these materials, then they get treated badly by their potholes not getting fixed. They cannot open their mouth because they've been bribed. You understand? And we are in that situation with Venezuela. We are technically bribed by Venezuela. So for us to start to make noise, we're going to look foolish because of the situation that we're already in. That is why we have to be very careful as voters, and even internationally, how you accept money and in what frame of mind you accept money from others. Because you lose your independence when you do. You cannot talk. They shut you up. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, caller. I want to comment on this, but before I do, and Gilden, I'm sure, let's take this other caller. Let's try this other line. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Dr. Thompson Fontaine.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Gilden Richards.
Good morning, sir.
A very important discussion this morning. And as I continue to listen to this discussion, it says to me that Dominica at this time is definitely in need of new leadership. And our new leadership, we can actually see by what is being displayed this morning here, where it is going to come from. Gentlemen, this matter is so important to this country. And it is a little sad that we just had a former ambassador at the United Nations, Mr. Vince Henderson. And I am subject to correction. I can't recall hearing this gentleman championing this cause at this level. But I want to say to the new ambassador, Mrs. Lauren Roberts, that as a Dominican, given the importance of this little rock to Dominica, I think I'm in place to give some instructions and to say to her that this must be a priority agenda for her as she takes this prestigious office, and to ensure that she represents Dominica where this one is concerned without fear and without favor. Gentlemen, good job. And Dominicans, I'm sure, after listening to you all this morning, will understand the importance of this little rock to Dominica and will give all the necessary support that they can for this matter to come to closure. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, caller. We appreciate this. And Gildan, you know, the callers made some very important points. And one of the things I want to jump on is one of the callers who indicated, you know, good luck more or less with this issue. What we need to understand is that there is a dispute. Okay, there is a dispute, and there are different institutions set up to deal with those types of disputes, international. So what Dominica needs to do is to simply tap into those. You have, for example, the International Tribunal on the Law of the Sea. You have the International Court of Justice. These are two of the institutions where Dominica can take the case. But interestingly enough, I saw a legal document, and they were recommending that Dominica adopt the approach of an arbitration, either arbitration or mediation in this issue with Venezuela. But we have a problem, and the problem is that the government, this current government, seems unwilling, even after all the noises made in 2003, 2004, 2005, 2006, that ended abruptly. And we saw it with the WikiLeaks cable.
Yes.
Where in this WikiLeaks cable, the Prime Minister basically threw up his hands and said, Venezuela is yours, take it. But you cannot do that. It is not the Prime Minister's to give.
The point I go back to is no Prime Minister in Dominica can change law by speaking.
Yes, he cannot do this. And he would have to come to the Parliament to begin with to make that pronouncement. So anything that has been signed between Venezuela and the Prime Minister, I can tell you conclusively is null and void, right? Because it has to go through an act of Parliament, if anything.
Because you're talking about an amendment of a statute in Dominica, which must be adopted statutorily in Dominica.
In the Parliament, and it has not been done.
There's no agreement we know between Venezuela and Dominica that has been ratified in Dominica in relation to
Right, exactly. So as far as we're concerned, our sovereign claim stands. We want our 200 exclusive economic zone, and Venezuela has a bird rock to itself. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome. Yes, good morning. Caller. Hello, caller.
That line.
I suspect it might be this particular line, but caller, we're hearing you very, very faint. Let's try this other line. Good morning, caller.
Yeah, Mr. Fontaine, we were not hearing that other caller either.
Right.
But what I wanted to say is that, do we know enough about the ALBA agreement? You remember when the ALBA agreement came, they were denying that there was a security aspect to it?
That's correct, yes.
Yeah. Is there other things in the ALBA agreement that we do not know that may include an agreement for boundaries? That is a question I'm asking, because I don't know. And I'm wondering if anybody knows. Because if we didn't even know, or there was denial that there was a security aspect, and I believe that there was a security aspect to this ALBA agreement. I believe it based on what I'm seeing printed on the internet from the different summits and the way that the defense ministers were speaking. I believe so. So was there anything else in our agreement that would talk about or decide upon boundaries and stuff like that? That is my question. Good morning.
Okay, thank you, caller. We'll come to that in a while. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Mr. Fontaine.
Yes, good morning.
I am very happy that you guys have decided to take up that discussion this morning, because since 2007 I have had that information and the headline reads Sovereignty of Revis Island, an argument against standardized compulsory arbitration. And there was an introduction to that, and it went on to say, give a lot of examples that have, in fact, where they can use arbitration.
Right. I saw that document.
I have, in fact, forwarded that document to several of the members of the United Workers' Party in the past, including when Ron Green was the leader of the opposition. And I heard nothing about that document, nothing about that issue. So I am very glad that this morning we have decided to shed light upon that. But in the first place, even before we had colonization, and we had the people of the Caribbean who in fact came in through colonization, the Caribbean island in fact has been occupied by the indigenous people. And the whole of the Caribbean archipelago was in fact occupied by the indigenous people. And it's through colonization that we have in fact all those rights have been trampled upon. And if there is to be a claim and the government do not wish to make that claim, I think the indigenous people of Dominica, especially Dominica, where the largest population of indigenous people that has been here for over 6,000 years has been standing alive and will be making their claim. We've been talking about reparation in the past. We've been talking about there was a committee for reparation. And since I got into office as the Kalinago chief or the Carib chief, whichever one, I have never heard anything about reparation. There has never been a meeting of the executive or the selected body for Dominica on the reparation issue. And I think the Kalinago people have a very strong case, separate than the African Caribbean people who in fact making their claim for reparations. And all of those things can be viewed in the reparation issue too, because I think the right of first claim in the Caribbean islands belongs to the Caribbean indigenous people, that the majority of the people is based in Dominica. And I think we would not like to be selfish, we would like to share, but if our brothers in Dominica do not want to share, probably we might have to go our own way. But I think this is a very important issue, and I think we need more time than the radio program, just this simple radio program, to elaborate on this program. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. You know, Gildan, we're going to pursue this thing. We're going to organize a couple town halls. We're going to put together, hopefully, a Bird Island committee or Bird Island panel that will get all the information and do what is necessary, because we're not going to let this go.
I agree, but I just want to say that I take the position of the Carib chief. If we, as a people generally, think we should just give up our rights to Venezuela, people who have been here so long, enjoying those rights for so long, have not been paid a cent by the colonizers. And you can't say colonizers because Bud Rock was never colonized.
It was never colonized. It was never an island. It was just a piece of rock that I believe, like the historian said, the Queen made a mistake. She wanted the other bird and she gave them this one. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for taking my call. Very good topic. And according to the chief, he has more work to do apart from Bird Rock and the reparations, because I have a soft spot for reparations too, and I wish I was on that committee. But we also have to look at the responsibility of the Carib. I don't want to run away from your topic, but because he called, I had that to say. We have to look at the responsibility of the Kalinago people in respect to our birthright, the passport issue. They should have a say in determining if we should sell passports to make people become citizens, and how many passports should be sold. So the conversation is wide, and so because we must involve the Kalinago people on all these issues. I just bringing up this one in terms of the sales of the passport. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, caller. We appreciate that intervention, certainly. But Gilda, the lines keep going, and let's get some of the calls in. Good morning.
Yes, sir. I'm back again. We need to educate people, and let me make it known that I have visited Bird Island under heavy security as part of a research team, and we had to have permission from Venezuela. And as you quite rightly said, Doc, the island disappears on the high tide. But we cannot sit there and and think that the world is going to wait for us. What the Venezuelans have done, they have built an extension of the island onto the sea. They have built a high-rise jetty. All right? And what they have done is to take, so that at no time will that jetty be covered by the tides. So that constitutes, you see the tricks they've been doing, and that is just typical of what you mentioned earlier on as well, which has very good relevance to what China is doing in the
South China Sea.
In the South China Sea. Okay, and I've always said, if Dominica doesn't act fast, all Venezuela has to do, they have facilities, they have buildings on the jetty that's not affected by high tides. All they have to do is to bring 2 pregnant women there with some doctors and let them give birth on that land, on that rock. And then that may contribute that they can support life.
You're being hypothetical.
So I am saying, to make, because some of us who know, we must let the public, you see, an uneducated public is allowed to insinuate a lot of things and say the wrong things. Yes. So we have to tell the people these types of things. The other thing that's happened is that all governments have been guilty, This is not a problem of only the Labour Party or the UWP or all freedom. All of them have cast a blind eye at times when these issues have been brought up. And sometimes they are waylaid in their path to taking a stand by gifts. Further, I would like to state that as the situation is now on the present status quo, Dominica, the international community is saying that Dominica has lost its rights. There is only a triangular piece of water that was not negotiated when Venezuela and France and Dominica and France negotiated the boundaries delimitation in that area. There is a triangular piece of land which France and Venezuela felt they didn't have access to. That is left alone there. And that is what some international scholars are saying that is left for Dominica to claim, which may give Dominica a few less than a mile distance away from
Bedrock.
The continental shelf of Bedrock.
You see, Color, with due respect, Color, while I understand what the international callers have said, you have not said what an international tribunal has said.
Yes,
and this is what we are pursuing. So we don't want to bind ourselves to accepting what international scholars have argued, because international scholars can argue from both sides.
Correct.
And therefore,
correct.
Our position is that our case should be put before an international tribunal.
Very good.
Okay? To determine the validity of the agreement between Dominica and France, to determine the validity of Venezuela's claim, to determine the validity of our claim to Bird Island, whether other islands in the Caribbean pursue that or not. We are pursuing it as a sovereign state. It is part of our law that we have sovereign rights over that. That law has not changed. And until we get a determination by an internationally respected tribunal, then we must insist that Bird Island, Bird Rock, I should try to call it from now,
correct,
is
but
Dominica's property.
But if you realize Dominica has not, I heard the learned doctor say that Dominica has, it's a dispute. Dominica has not laid a claim for dispute.
That's the point. No, but I'm saying the dispute exists. We have not formalized it, but the dispute exists because we have completed.
He spoke about laying a claim.
Yes.
And that's the point. It's true, Dominica has not laid
a claim. That's correct.
We have argued the possibility of laying a claim. We have laid no claim.
Right.
So it is that only an international tribunal can accept a claim that is laid. So we must now lay the claim with a view to determining the validity of our claim in relation to Venezuela's claim.
Correct. I know. Mine is my point here. My interventions are not confrontational. My intervention here.
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying that at all. And I listen. I'm learning from you, but at the same time, I can't miss the opportunity to clarify the legal position as far as the laying a claim and determining a claim is concerned.
Yeah, okay, right. But because my head to educate is to lay out certain facts that I've heard a lot of people talk about Bird Island, and their facts are not the facts, they're just the things that are on the wayside. But what I'm telling you, I've been involved in this for some time now. But the other issue is that, I mean, Dominica is in a very strange and very difficult position, because the mere fact that Dominica signed the boundary delimitation with France and reached to a point where France said, I do not recognize you all as the owners of that land, so I'm not going to negotiate beyond that 60 miles, all right, north and south of you.
Agree, but would you agree that agreement binds only Dominica and France?
Yes, no, it only binds Dominica, yes.
Dominica and France?
Yes. But
it does not bind Dominica. It does not bind Dominica and Venezuela. Do you agree?
No. Let me tell you, it does not bind Dominica and Venezuela, but let me tell you, as you would know, my learned attorney, law, there's a very big part of law that is that precedence, right, takes precedence most times.
Well, but one statute does not necessarily prevent another one from overriding it.
Correct. I'm not going to.
And therefore, what the previous government did, whether by statute or not, does not bind the subsequent government at all, if the determination in relation to that previous agreement is flawed.
Yes, but
the steps toward arriving at it is flawed, then one must revisit it. And I'm sure France might want to revisit it. I understand the point you made in relation to the Pacific Islands, where France was, some of which France was using to do atomic detonations and this kind of thing, and the implications of France taking a different position in relation to Bird Island. We have a different government in France now, and probably it is time for us to revisit it. That government may be of a different view in relation to our delimitation of our boundaries with France.
Correct. But also, sir, let me add that this bird rock has so much implications, because it also has implications for the U.S. Because under the bird rock assumption of it being an island and claiming 200 miles, part of its waters boundary with some of the U.S. states.
Right.
Okay, it boundaries with Puerto Rico. All right.
So we can have an ally.
No, it's not an ally. This is where we have to be very careful, because how we spin our wheel, because the U.S. all right recognizes Venezuela's claims.
Well,
because it is convenient for them here, because in the Pacific region of Guam, of these little atolls that are in the area there, it is good for them.
You're right.
So
all the more reason why we have to fight it.
I am saying this as a word of caution.
I'm still saying we can have an ally, because one must look at the geopolitical position of Venezuela and the United States. Now, we must not look at this vacuum. You understand?
Correct,
it may be politically, geopolitically more convenient for the U.S. to make us an ally instead of Venezuela.
Right.
And therefore, if we claim Bird Island, it doesn't necessarily mean the U.S. will not acknowledge our claim. It does not, because the U.S. is not fighting with Venezuela for Bird Island. It will not fight with us for it either.
Yes, I'm calling also, just to add to that, I recall in 2006, if you look at the WikiLeaks cables, the U.S., they were very concerned that Dominica had in fact dropped the ball on this.
Yes, let me tell you, but I agree with the attorney here. But one of your closest allies in these things is the countries that are next to you that you speak to, all right? Because the Bird Island affects the waters of Trinidad and Tobago with regards to Venezuela, Grenada, St. Vincent, St. Lucia, Antigua, right up to Montserrat.
I agree. I agree.
So these are your allies too that we have to be loving. So that is where, if you have to start, you see, they say before you clean somebody's backyard, before you go into other people's backyard, you should clean your own backyard. I am saying so to make sure that the respective government do consider, I'm sorry, that the government of the day
do consider if we're going to make a fight for this, we have to have on board the respective countries in the OECS that are our closest and best allies.
Well, we are looking forward to you joining us in that pursuit. you have resource that can be used, not necessarily by us, by you, and you probably have access to the government's airs since you have been involved in that particular area for a while, and you're very knowledgeable of it. And I respect it. As I told you, I've learned from you. I'm still learning as you speak. But the point is, we should not cower simply because we believe we'll not get support from the OECS. We must speak to the people of the OECS and not necessarily the governments of the OECS. Since people of the OECS are the ones that the governments represent, and they're the ones to whom their governments must seek support, from whom the governments must seek support for retention in power. It is to those people we as a people should speak, and not necessarily to their governments, because when governments change, people get different representation. And if we understand that, we will see the need for us to speak to the people of the various countries that are bordering Bird Island or Bird Rock.
Very well said.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much, caller. And let's just be clear on this, Gildan. We must note, and people need to understand that Venezuela has not signed the Convention on the Law of the Sea.
I have noted that.
I don't know exactly why they've not signed it. Because if they signed, it would mean they would have to agree that Bird Rock is in fact a rock.
Yes.
It will confine them to just the 12 miles around, and the rest is ours.
Yes.
So they've not signed. That's why I say that there is a dispute. We simply need to push it forward.
Exactly.
And we'll be talking more about that when we come back. But let's take a quick break for a word from our sponsors. We'll be back.
Time to sleep, darling.
Dad, are there any monsters under the bed?
Not while I'm here. You're safe and sound.
Feeling cared for, protected, and secure. It's a feeling that every Massey United Insurance customer knows. After all, they're in the same safe hands, protected by our financial strength, stability, and experience, and cared for by our team. Now, all our customers are even more secure with the sound strength of Massey. It's a great feeling. Massey United Insurance. To learn more, contact our agents, J.V. Charles and Company Limited at 448-2876, CAM Dupini Inc. at 448-3012, and L.A. Dupini and Company Limited at 448-2310.
We go to school on Monday, there's time for holidays, but in September it's back to school again. New books and books to buy, clothes, shoes, even linen. Mama katape maltet like katape lajan. Well, mama come to big age and papa come to big age. Your children need the big age to go to school in style. Yes, all loans granted from July 1st to September 9th kote big age. Katape on discount. Discount as loan? Yes, my dear. Only 2% interest monthly. Plus, Shaq Moon kita pay your loan go to big edge. Your name goes into the barrel for the big draw. First prize $1,500 and a $500 grocery hamper. Second prize $1,000 and a $300 grocery hamper. Third prize $500 plus a $100 grocery hamper. Can you imagine who tape loan and you still getting a chance to win a big prize? So, will you join me in the back to school match? We are marching to Big Edge. Wonderful, wonderful Big Edge. Big Edge, financing your most cherished moments.
It's coming again, back to school time, and we know how difficult it can be to get your children ready for the coming school year. Let the Central Cooperative Credit Union Limited take the burden off your shoulders and the worries of your wallet. Uniforms, school fees, tuition, school books, a CCCUL 12 months back to school loan of up to $2,500. It will make school days very happy days, and it's easy. Just come to CCCUL, Central Cooperative Credit Union Limited. Easy way out of your back to school expenses.
In the twinkling of an eye, life can change, and so having a good insurance policy should be a priority. Here at GK General Insurance, we provide insurance coverage that protects against property losses to your business, home, or vehicle. Call our local agents, Cabrit's Agencies, 445-4291 or 440-8662, and find out how you can get superior insurance coverage for less. GK General Insurance, your insurance place from Grace Kennedy.
We're going back to school.
That's right. Starting Friday, August the 25th till Wednesday, August 31st. Shine Union Dominica has everything you need with a 20 to 30% discount on selected items for back to school. Things like sports shoes, socks, and school shoes, all black. Assorted juice bottles, snack bags, and carrot school bags. Also, school stationery and exercise books. Shine Union back to school sale plus new arrival. Also available are tents or camping, storage containers, folding tables, living room sofas. That's right, living room sofas. Shine Union back to school sale plus new arrivals. Starting Friday, August the 25th till Wednesday, August 31st. Hurry, because you already know when they're gone, they are gone.
It's now or never. The final opportunity to take advantage of the season ticket special for the Wilder Creole Music Festival 2016. Only $250 EC dollars. Messieurs, mesdames, $250 EC dollars. Offer ends August 31st. Offer ends August